Hello, YouTube! So, I always get questions about, like, what it is to teach English here, and since we're about to get a bunch of new ALTs coming in, I figured it was a good time as any to make it. So, I gathered up two people who were willing to sit here and be on camera with me, because our other friend is over there playing Civ 5.
Though apparently he's not doing a very good job of it.
I see.
Moving on.
Anyway, so I guess start with basic information about where we came from, since everyone keeps asking what my major is. For starters, you all know me. I'm Mary. I'm from Dallas, Texas originally, and my major was arts and technology, where I basically specialized in user interface development and web design. So I teach at high school, so I'm a prefectural ALT, and I teach at 4 different high schools.
Maybe some of you know me if you give a crap. I'm Vincent. She'll probably link my channel or something. I'm from Southern California in Murrieta, which is, nobody cares where Murrieta is, we make wine. My major was theater, arts, and drama with a specialization in dance. So I obviously have nothing to do with English here. I teach middle schools in the sort of like city, I'm on JET as well. Mary and I are on JET. And I teach middle school, so I'm part of the City Board of Education for that one.
And my name's Katie. I'm originally from Florida, but I got my degree in Maine in zoology. So, animals.
It's the coolest degree ever.
Right?
I know.
Like, out of all of us,
Someday.
like, you've got a cool degree, and both of us are just sitting here like, meh.
Someday I hope to actually do something with it, specifically rather than English. But I work at the junior high school in a small little town, and I'm actually directly hired through the town hall, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, she's not on JET because she's cool and doesn't need any help like that.
Right. No, she just came over and was like, give me a job. And they were like, not gonna argue with that.
Not when you've got balls like that.
Exactly how it happened.
So yeah, I guess another question I get asked is, like, how did we feel about coming to Japan? Like, were we nervous? Were we scared? Was it hard? I don't know.
I cheated, actually, because I had a year of study abroad here while I was in college, so coming back here was not really that intense or anything, but, I mean, it's still, like, a certain kick, because you're no longer in a place that you're super familiar with. Even if you've been here before, stuff changes depending on where you are, you know.
What about you?
I followed my husband here.
Yeah.
So
her husband is the one playing Civ 5, who's too cool for us.
Yeah, really. He was already here for a year, so I already knew a lot of what was going to happen and already had kind of some that I knew and was very comfortable with when I got here. So
moderately comfortable.
Moderately comfortable with.
Comfortable to a certain extent.
Enough to marry him, you know.
Enough for that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it wasn't so much of a shock, I guess. I knew it was coming for a while that I was going to be here. So
yeah, I kind of had the same, where this is my first time actually in Japan, but I'd sort of been planning to come and do this. Like, I've wanted to do JET for a long, long time, so it was always just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to go to Japan one day. And, like, everyone kind of already knew, like, yeah, she's probably going to go to Japan one day. So when I was accepted to JET, it was more of a, oh, okay, so that's, like, finally a thing.
So you're finally doing it, then.
That's going to be a thing.
no,
So,
I
like,
always wanted to visit, but I didn't think I would actually be living here.
yeah, like, I packed the night before I left for the Houston embassy. Like, seriously, I threw everything important to me in 3 suitcases and came over here.
My embassy, actually, the lady whose name I don't remember and I feel bad about that for, she was like, no one ever comes over here with just 1 suitcase. And I said, is that a challenge? And she said, I bet you can't do it. So I did. So I came over with 1 suitcase full of clothes. And I had to, like, pack and repack it maybe twice in order to fit all the like, just random clothes and whatnot. And it wasn't really that hard, you know.
And that when I got here, like, you know, everyone rants and raves that, you know, like, JET has super duper support and it's awesome and, like, they handled the visa and everything. It wasn't until I got here that I got kind of screwed over because, like, my predecessor had left early. She broke her contract and left in February before I got here. And so, like, my supervisors just picked me up and then dropped me at my apartment and spent, like, you know, 10 minutes getting my gas set up. And then they said, okay, bye. Be at work at 8:30.
It was similar with me too. I kind of showed up. I spent the night in a hotel. They picked me up at 6 o'clock in the morning, drove me to where my new school was going to be. We spent that day driving around, learning how to drive.
See, at least they showed you where your work was going to be. I
They
was told to
did.
be there.
And then they drove me here and was like, good luck finding your school an hour away from here. And the next day. That was fun.
That sounds like the jet people. Like we're in Koriyama in Fukushima Prefecture, and Mary of course was in Fukushima City.
Yeah, like the city ALTs, from what I've heard, get more support because typically if you're a city junior high ALT, you all live
In
within the
relatively
same building.
the same area, yeah.
High school ALTs, some of us can live in the same building as each other, but it's not planned.
Yeah, you sort of have to work for that
Your
to happen.
If you're a high school ALT, your school will find an apartment for you, typically near your base school. So, like, I didn't see another jet unless I went to special jet events that I found out about on Facebook. So, like, honestly, yeah, I was kind of going... That's why I got a hamster, because, like, the loneliness was actually kind of getting to me. So
Right.
the hamster, like, kept me sane, because I would come home and talk to my hamster.
Poor thing. The people who came to Koriyama actually have a relatively solid, like, support system around here.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of, like, people that have been here for quite a long time that then help you out and all of that. It helps a whole lot if you're able to speak Japanese, but if you don't, and you have a good, like, support network, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. They'll help you set up your phone, they'll help you set up your, your gas. Your internet you kind of have to do yourself, but they've got an English helpline thing for
BB
it.
apply.
Right. Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
See, next question. Did we have culture shock when we came?
I'm
You
gonna
you
sit this
probably
one out
didn't.
because I cheated again.
You went here before, did you?
Not really, actually. Because I'm kind of multi-ethnic background.
Yeah.
I already kind of have those experiences of multiple cultures.
Mm.
And so it really wasn't that huge of a difference.
Yeah, like, I think the only...
Or difference, but not...
Yeah. The only instance I had was, like, because I speak Japanese, and, like, I knew it before I came over, but I wasn't used to having to speak it, like, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, like, because, your JTs are supposed to speak English, but of course they don't really. Like, they maybe have a third grader's level of English is what you can expect. Some are better, some are worse. If you teach kindergarten or, like, any of the elementary schools, they probably just straight up won't know English.
Don't expect them to actually know English. They're just teaching it because they have to.
Yeah, so, like, I had to get used to, like, my first day in Fukushima, like, even my supervisors, who were supposed to speak English and be in charge of me, just, like, they would frequently talk to me in English for 10 minutes, and then they'd be like, can we switch to Japanese now? I'm tired. And then, like, after 20 minutes of Japanese, I'd be like, can we switch to English now? I'm tired. And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, you can switch to whatever, but apparently I can't because whatever.
So yeah, that was like the only bit of culture shock was I was really tired for like the first 2 to 3 weeks because it was actually kind of exhausting.
Makes sense, yeah.
It wasn't so bad for me because I didn't understand any Japanese.
So you just tune them out after.
I really did. I just go through a day and like, oh, okay, I have to do this, I have to do that, but like I don't understand them, so like it doesn't. Okay. I mean, now I do. I take Japanese classes and I understand a lot more. It's pretty exciting. But I didn't study Japanese at all before I got here.
Did you have any shock that was different from your college experience here then?
Again, I cheated because they, like, apparently they didn't expect me to know very much Japanese. So when they got here, they started saying things in Japanese that I don't think they wanted me to understand.
What did they say?
They were just sort of things like, they picked me up and they were like, alright, we got the white guy, let's put him in the car. And I was like, what the... Did you just die?
Did they actually use, like, Hakujin?
Yeah, they said Hakujin.
Oh, fuck.
I mean, when Benjamin got to it, Benjamin is like our, the guy who's been here the longest. He's been here for like 9 trillion years or something. And he's from Wales, so he's pretty cool. But, like, when we got to Fukushima... there were some Japanese people and there were some, like, other senior jets or whatever that were here. And the Japanese people were kind of, not expecting us to know Japanese. Like, I came in at the same time as one of the other, as 2 other people. And one of them spoke some Japanese as well. And she was like, are they saying what I think they're saying? And I was like, just don't even talk about it. But, I mean, for the most part, it was more... They were shocked that we knew anything about Japan, as though most of the people that have come here were simply, I need a job in Japan is a thing. So
But it doesn't sound like that's what most of the people here are like.
No.
it doesn't sound like it, but I guess that's what they were expecting.
They're like, oh, I need a job. Let me go to Japan and get a job.
Well, to be fair, the job market in America did suck at the time that I left.
It still sucks.
So everyone did make that joke that it's like, oh wow, to get a job, you had to just fucking leave the
Go
continent.
to the entire side of the... Yeah, one of the other girls that's coming back, she was a jet here for a while. And she's coming back now for a year because she needs a job. And that's it. Like, literally, she didn't even like the job before, but she can't find a job anywhere else.
Like, I'm a little terrified to go back to America with my current resume, because it'd be like, I can teach you English. Ah, you speak it already. Crap.
Right.
See, next one, we also get asked, like, what's a normal day like in terms of teaching?
This is going to vary anywhere from I get up in the morning and don't stop moving until
Wake
I
up
die.
in the morning, gonna teach some...
To things like wake up in the morning, wait until 8:30, go to school, maybe have one class, dick around on the internet, and then come home. A lot of different stuff here.
Yeah, I currently teach at 3 different schools, but I've taught at 5 before. My base school is my most boring, because I don't get to plan anything. They don't, if I actually used to go to PTA days, but I'm no longer allowed to go because I played a charades game with my students where, like, I had to act out verbs and they had to guess. So it's like, oh, trip over the podium, eat that, and it was trip. And the parents hated it, and they thought that, like, I shouldn't teach because they're clearly not learning anything. They're having fun. They're laughing. That can't be. No way you're learning English if you're having fun with it. So I'm not allowed to plan any lessons. I'm not allowed to do anything. And there's many days where I wonder if I could show up to school drunk and, like, seriously, no one would notice. I overslept one day, and, like, it was 10 when I woke up, because I just straight up didn't hear my alarm, and no one contacted me, no one noticed, no one cared. My other distance school, I still don't plan anything, but that's just because, like, I go there once a week, and there's just not much time, but the teachers there are friendly, and even the non-English teachers try to talk to me, and it's more fun. The one school I love is my most rural school, which is way out in the, like, an hour away from here that I take a bus to, and, you know, we email during the week, and that JTE has, like, the best English of anyone.
Like, she begins her emails to Mary with things such as,
Yo,
what up, shawty?
She also, because I just had my last day there this weekend, she was like, I miss you already, baby. And I'm like, I can't tell if she thinks of me as a daughter or her boyfriend. I'm not sure.
or like, she's your pimp.
Yeah.
Someone's at the door. I'll get it.
Alright, thanks. But yeah, so at that school, I teach 3 classes, and I do a lot of planning, and I actually get to make the lessons, and it's awesome, and it's fun, and I love life there.
Gentlemen, this is
Come on in.
Phaedra. Phaedra, one of the other LTs.
We get asked a lot about what life like is here teaching. So, like, we're all, like, getting together and compiling all of our thoughts.
Okay.
So you get to join us now.
Awesome.
We're in the normal day of teaching category.
Yeah,
Okay.
Summary, this is Phaedra. Where are you from and what's your major?
I'm from America, Oregon specifically, and I was a Japanese language and culture major, but I will now be going to grad school for global business.
So she's at least a little more fit for the job than any of us.
And you teach at the worst junior highs in this city, right?
Hey, my country base school is fantastic. It is a fantastic school, and I'm actually sad to leave them, but my other school, yeah.
Okay, so I just described, like, my normal day, so you 3 have to go.
Okay, go for it, Katie.
My normal day, I actually commute an hour every day to go to work, which is super exciting and takes up a lot of my day.
And a lot of CDs that you burn
And
to,
a lot
like,
of
keep this
CDs.
drive exciting.
It's
Yeah,
true.
Granted, it's a beautiful drive. I drive through the mountains. It's kind of dangerous during the winter with the snow and the ice. But it is a beautiful drive. So, I guess usually I go there, and now I only teach at one school. So I see all the students every week, which is nice. And now that I've been there for a year, the teachers have me do more, like they trust me with more, so I grade papers and I make activities.
You get to grade things.
I
I never
I do too.
Like, apparently some ALT, like, a couple years ago, really botched up grading, and now none of us are allowed to.
Man.
Well, they like at my school, you're not allowed to grade like the big formal tests or whatever
Yeah, okay, right.
because someone used a red pencil once instead of a red pen, and they
Oh,
blamed
we
it on
had
the LT.
orange ink was the problem with ours.
Oh wow,
They
that's
used orange ink, not red ink, and therefore... Go
Yeah,
for
so
it.
yeah, so I grade, like when they're writing the alphabet, I make sure their letters are correct, or grammar and sentence structure, things like that. Where the English teachers, they're all right with that kind of thing, but like, is this okay here? It's like, yeah, that's fine. It's a little strange, or no, that's not right, or you have to say it like this. You're going to use that word.
If you said it this way, they'd probably think that you were talking about something completely different.
Yeah.
You'd get shot.
Sometimes.
But so I do grading, and I make activities, and most of the time I read. I read on the computer. It's nice.
Yeah.
I get a lot of reading done.
I read a lot of crack.com.
Yeah.
Because I get to bring my laptop to work.
Yeah, none
We're
of
not
us
allowed to.
are actually allowed
Not
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Koriyama City Jets are not allowed to bring laptops to work because if you connected them to the network, then you'd immediately give everyone a virus because everyone doesn't know how to use computers.
And
No,
we're not allowed to
supposed
share
to bring-
USB drives between schools.
Also true, you're not allowed to.
But I do it anyways.
We do it anyway,
Yeah,
of course.
I read crack.com and play Minecraft.
I study French and play Bomber Mine.
I need to try that. Anyway.
Okay.
So-
did
So
you have anything else?
that's pretty much. Oh, and I also occasionally play with the brass band. I play cello. They don't have an orchestra though, so I play cello with
Your
the
cello
brass
is made of brass.
band.
No,
it is an electric.
It has
I was
a
cello.
about
lot
to
of
say,
holes
it's the
in it.
most badass cello on the
It's
planet.
a pretty
Seriously
badass
is.
cello. And so I play with them sometimes, and now I've started swimming sometimes with kids, which is exciting.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
fun.
That's pretty much normal.
So at my base school, I usually have an average of 3 to 4 classes a day. They like to keep me busy and actually give me work to do. They'll have me create activities. I have a computer with internet and printer access, so I can actually use stuff online to complement my activities that I make, or find things to create activities with, like
Inglopedia
suggestions.
for the win.
Go to Inglopedia, see what they have.
Dave's ESL Cafe.
Kind of
Right.
use it as an outline for making an activity. I don't take straight from
anything
it,
not
but-
the Ministry of Education textbook?
Right?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I'm a base school. I also grade tests and sometimes, mostly just tests, spelling tests and normal tests. I'll grade all various types of tests, not just I'll do semester tests and stuff. I'll grade them. They just have me circle, and then at the end they'll count it all up and put the score on themselves. But I'll go and circle them all. But it's a pretty normal day. It's really far away, so I have to take a taxi, a 30-minute taxi if it's just me. So I don't really get to stay after school to interact with the kids at all that much.
Taxis come at a very specific time, so
Yeah.
4:15, even if you're doing something with a club or whatever, you'd better be out at the taxi or they'll yell at you.
But
Yeah.
they pay for it for you.
They do
for
pay for it,
taxis, which
so
is alright.
I can't complain too much about that. It's actually, I take my bento there every day. But I
yeah,
have my
but
other school. My other school.
Your other
True,
which
she
is
does.
completely different from my normal school.
And is, yeah.
So my other school is the largest in the city for junior high schools.
It's got a really cool fountain thing out front.
It does. It actually, it has
Oh,
a little
is that
bell
the
that
one
rings
with
at
the-
8 o'clock.
Yeah,
With-
that's
yeah.
the bell.
Yeah,
That's
it
a
rings
cool
at
one.
8 o'clock and at 4 o'clock. I don't know if it rings at noon or not, though. I'm kind of busy with teaching,
Right.
usually.
I won't even make peace with me.
James is over here talking about oh yeah, man, Pharaoh Imhotep is trying to get into my city-state. We don't care about you, James. We
Go away.
don't.
Okay, so I walk to the school. It's really close. My average number of classes per day is 2 to 3. I have no internet access or printer access. I got a computer in November this last year for the first time ever.
Yeah.
But with no internet.
But with no
No,
internet
it is
access.
no-
And
It's
it's,
a
the computers from 95, right?
Right,
Yeah, and it's a student computer.
It's a student computer, which means that if a student at any point comes up to me and says, "Hey, I need to use this computer," they don't have to give me a reason. I just have to stop whatever that I am doing on the computer and give it to the students.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm in the middle of making an activity for classes, I have to stop and give it to the students. And since it's a student computer, I can't save anything to it either, so I have to use the USB drive. And anything that I have on there at the end of the day, and I don't save it to something else, disappears. So that kind of sucks. I have one teacher there who actually gives me things to do, and it's mostly just looking over and reading students' works and writing a little comment on the bottom, "Good job, well done." and like correcting any spelling mistakes or grammar mistakes. But that's, you know, one teacher out of 6 that does that. It wasn't until this last month that, you know, I'm leaving and that I only have 6 days in which to give me all my classes that I'm getting 6 classes a day, which I've been asking for 2 years now. Like, give me more than 2 classes a day. There are many times that I'm there that I have no classes.
Ayo.
Yeah. I often
Weeks
go
on
there.
end?
I often go there on testing days.
Yep.
And then the days after tests.
Where they give them back.
Where they give them back, and thus you have no classes.
Yep.
Yeah.
We get that too.
That's
It's
frustrating. Which,
stupid.
first year I studied Japanese at the schools. Did the JET language course, advanced language course.
Which is ridiculous and stupid, not worth it.
Yep. Don't
It's
bother.
free though, so
It is
like,
free. If you need a Japanese language course, it's free, which is good.
if you're a member of JET.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Sorry, Katie.
It's okay.
And then after the first year, last November, I did NaNoWriMo. Yeah, so that's what I do at schools.
Anyway.
That's basically what my school day is at. And when I'm at big school, I have school lunch, which sucks.
Okay.
Right. So I teach at 3 schools. I'm the only middle school teacher in the city that teaches at 3 different schools. And I don't know why. But anyway.
That's standard for us.
Yeah, no, like,
Not us.
standard in Koriyama City for middle school people is 2 schools. One main school and one kind of rural-esque school.
I used to have to.
I have one main school who's, like, sort of semi-suburban, and then 2, like, long, far-away schools. For long, far-away schools, of course, they get done by city car, which is essentially the, like, dumbed-down version of being chauffeured. You go over to the parking lot where the cars are, you get into the car, and then they drive you there. It's not a taxi because you can't call them.
That sounds more convenient than where I have to plan out my route and then turn in 4 pieces of paperwork each
Oh,
week.
Yeah,
sometimes
no,
we have
it's-
to tell the taxi drivers where to go because they're like, how do we get to your school? We've never been there before.
No, you're the taxi driver,
Yeah, but
for
you're allowed
Christ's
to
sake.
take a personal car. I have to take like trains and buses and crap.
And technically, we're not allowed to take personal cars.
Nope.
We're only allowed to
Whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, so you get into those things at 8:30 in the morning, and then you get to school whenever they get there.
Describe your teaching. Let's just like summarize this.
I generally have between 0 and 2 classes a day. Very rarely will I get something like 4, but when I do, it's like, get there in the morning, think I don't have any classes, and then, like, just before
Bam!
first period, the teacher comes up and thump, these are the 4 classes that I want you to do today. I need you to plan this, 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 and this, and I need you to do the entirety of the last 2 classes by yourself because I'm going to be home watching my child graduate preschool or some crap. And so that's sort of how that goes. I generally don't know how many classes I'm going to be doing that day or for what grade or for what, like, level or what lesson or whatever until I get to the school that morning. So every day is a sort of surprise, and it's all, you know, if you want to look at it that way, then it's all nice. And that's pretty great that way. Of course, I don't eat kyushoku at one of my schools, but then at the other 2 I do. Hi, James. James
Are you
is coming
joining
in.
us?
Yeah, I have something I can pitch in about this.
Oh,
Hooray!
okay. Here,
Yeah.
interrupt
I
Vincent.
feel like
Come down where they can see you.
They can't
Come
see you.
over here.
okay.
So,
This is James, everyone. James is
Hey.
Katie's husband.
So like these guys, like as far as teaching schedules go, get shafted a lot more than I do. I feel like I'm either fortunate or like they're unfortunate.
Or both.
Or both. But at my school, both of my schools, I get a teaching schedule for the month, so I know what classes I'm going to be teaching for the entire month, and usually it's anywhere from 3 to 5 classes a day. So my days aren't usually too boring, and I've usually got something to do, and it also makes it so I know that I can go talk to my teachers and be like, oh, hey, we have this class coming up, so what do you want to do? Like, it's going to be over this page. Like, how much of the lesson do you want me to plan? Like, do you want me to plan an activity? Do you want me to be a tape recorder? Like, it makes it so that way, you can, like...
And you can do more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, once you know what's
yeah,
coming.
I've got
And-
similar where it's planned out, and
Yeah.
like I have the same schedule each week. It at least at my base school,
Yeah.
but like even then I still don't get to plan or anything.
Yeah. At my large school, I get the month-long schedule, but I often have classes randomly canceled on me and then added into other random locations.
Mm.
Mhm.
And as far as, like, being able to plan things, it wasn't like this when I first got here. When I first got here, it was kind of a very much like a trial period, so they just sort of went along with it.
Right.
They were like, we're just going to do, like, very basic lessons and see what you can do, And then, it was pretty much like, as I did what they wanted and I tried to do the best that I could. And then probably after about 3 or 4 months, I ended up having enough trust that they were like, here, why don't you go and plan an activity for this lesson? I planned a really good activity, and I got 2 teachers that were like, oh my goodness, his lessons are so awesome. And then from there, like, I was able to get the rest of the teachers in on doing really awesome activities. And so now, like, usually when I plan lessons, they're like, yeah, plan something for the whole class. So it's pretty cool like that.
Okay,
So I just realized it's almost like crappy situation, middle situation, awesome situation.
And then these
Yeah.
2 are sort of fringe.
Well, I mean,
outliers.
I know my classes a week or 2 ahead of time, and I actually have scheduled meeting times with my teachers.
Which is actually nice.
Which I would love.
Yeah,
La
no.
la.
Pretty nice.
Okay, basically like one sentence answer from everyone. Do you actually feel like you're busy during the day or that you get used in class?
No.
Okay.
It depends on teacher.
Usually, I feel like I'm used very well.
Depends on the school.
I generally wish I could do more, except at that one school.
Yeah.
Let's see, next one. The worst and best, like, what's the worst situation you've ever had teaching, the best, like, individual class or individual events? Like, what's the worst thing that's happened to you while teaching and the best? I guess I'll go first as an example. The worst situation, I think 2 of them are pretty much tied. In one case, at my rules school, I have a student who very clearly has some sort of behavioral issue. Like, I'm pretty sure he's ADHD or something. Because it's like, it's well and beyond, like, not behave. Like, the kid is really smart. Like, when he actually sits down and does English, he's really good. But then, like, so I mentioned it to, like, the school's people. I'm like, hey, like, should someone, like, is there, like, a school counselor? Like, someone to sit down and talk to this kid? And they're like, yeah, no one gives a shit. And I'm like, wait, what? And because I'm like, he's really good. Yeah, but no one wants to deal with him, so just ignore him. I'm like, yeah, but, like, he's really good. Yeah, but we're not going to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to kind of be the standard. And that was, like, really depressing to hear about and realize that they simply weren't going to help him and had no interest.
There is no special needs program in much of the country.
They all knew about it. Like, everyone knew, but no one cared.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other worst case was, since I'm leaving my high school to go teach at elementary school, I recently had a student come and ask me for, like, advice on studying English by himself. So, like, I made, like, this whole, like, page in both English and Japanese about, like, here's my advice, here's some things you can use. And a bunch of my other students wanted it then because they were jealous and they wanted it too. And then I got asked by my supervisors and superiors that I am not to give any more notes to students. Because the exact reason was I recommended websites, and it is dangerous for students to explore the internet alone.
Yeah.
So I am to not give any more notes to students,
Welcome to Japan.
despite the fact that it was to help enrich their learning, because I was suggesting potentially dangerous things.
Welcome to Japan.
Yeah. My best case was when the Japanese teacher I would normally teach was out at, like, a meeting or something, so I got given the class. And so I had them first, like, someone had brought, like, Arizona green tea from the States. So, like, I got that and, like gave it to all my students, and that was like, yay, culture, you get Arizona green tea. And then, like, we got to play Boggle as a warm-up game. And then, like, I took some comics and, like, removed the words and had them write their own comic stories. And I told them, I was like, yeah, you can bring them next class and turn them in. And they did. And, like, they were coming up to me before class, like, look it. And, like, they'd hung them on the blackboard and were so freaking proud. And, like, some of them were really, really awesome stories.
They were pretty good. You should put, like, links to a couple of them.
I've put, like, one on my Tumblr, I think. But, yeah, like, they were really awesome, and, like, that was kind of cool to realize, like, okay, like, that. And, like, at one point, like, I had to do another thing where she left, and then it was, like, 3 minutes after she's gone, I'm like, alright, kids, let's ditch that, and we're gonna play Hangman or something. And they're like, I was like, and don't tell anyone, and they're like, is this like the day where the teacher left and you gave us all tea? And yes, it's exactly like that day.
Right.
Anyway.
So for the worst case scenario, it was like right before lunch one day, and it goes like first period, second period, break, third period, fourth period, lunch. And it was in the middle of fourth period.
Bye, James.
And bye, James.
Bye, James.
Okay, bye for a second, James. And anyway, so like everyone was chilling out and whatnot, and there was something going on in a class, whatever. The second floor of the school was, like, empty, because the second years had gone off to do
Okinawa
Shiroko
or
or some
something.
crap like that. And then all of a sudden, one girl bursts into the staff room. Now, when a student comes into the staff room, they have to stop at the door, they have to open the door, they have to do all this crap, like, shitsude shimasu.
Yeah, it's a script
Something,
written
something.
outside in the hallway.
Yeah.
And, like, the script says, if you don't say this, we'll get mad at you. So this girl, she's bawling and crying, and she does this thing like, excuse me, my name is such and forth, I'm from such and forth of a class, is the nurse teacher here? And I was, like, one of the only people in the health room. I was like, no, she's not right now, what's wrong? And she goes, someone's bleeding from the head. And I was like, oh, and this is the same thing. It's like when there was the fire drill and you guys all had to leave your shoes.
Yeah.
And put your other shoes. So we went upstairs and there was this kid. He was lying on the ground. He was foaming at the mouth. He had, like, blood coming out the back of his head. He had apparently, in the middle of, like, class or something, he'd gotten up to get something. And then he went, blurk, and then hit his head on the desk and then again on the floor and started bleeding. And that was fun. So I had to usher all the kids out, and like one.
Did you find the nurse teacher?
She wasn't there that day.
Oh fuck.
Right. So I ushered all the kids out. Had one of the kids go get the principal. The principal got some of the other teachers. Like I had to damage control the kids. All the kids in the other classrooms were like, "Oh, what's happened? What's going on? What's going on?" It's like someone fell down. They'll be fine probably. The ambulance came up and everyone was freaking out and it was an awful day and I had to do so much damage control because the teachers were like, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what to do. So they were like, Vincent, you deal with the kids pretty well. Tell them something. I was like, thanks, guys. So that was fun. But best case scenario, I mean, relatively speaking, like, the best case scenario was, like, I was able to teach a class, and the kids actually liked it, and the like, Board of Education people didn't come in and bitch at me. And, you know, like, we had a normal classroom day. That's, like, the best case scenario.
That's
A little sad. Yeah.
little bit, right?
Alright, Phaedra.
So I also had two worst case scenarios, both at the same school. One that actually deals with, like, physically in a classroom teaching. My JT, Japanese teacher of English, has said to me, and she's done this multiple times on me, that, she'd start the class with me, and then she had to run out for 5 minutes, and then she would be back. I was like, okay, we'll start the class together. She'll be gone 5 minutes, and then she'll be back. I'll just continue with my activity that I've, like, already gone over with her about what I was going to be doing. And so I'm doing the activity, and she, we start class, then she leaves, I start the activity, and the kids are just like, da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, yeah, I guess it's class. God, kind of pay attention. But, yeah, I really don't want to. They weren't, like, talking to each other. They're just, like, sitting there doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that for the whole class. Even the part of the activity where they had to, like, get up and talk to each other. Like, that was the point of, like, go and talk to your friends in English. You can make your notes in Japanese all you want, but you gotta speak in English. They just were like, oh, hey. Bye. So that kind of failed. And the teacher didn't show up at all until the very end of the class as we were doing the ending greetings. And I was just like, and then after she's like, so how'd the class go? I was like, well, let me tell you.
No thanks to you.
You remember how you said that you'd be back in 5 minutes?
I was like, let me explain. She's like, oh, that's so weird. They're never like that. I was like, well, yeah, but, you're usually there to stop them being like that. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I won't leave for the next one. I was like, thank you.
Thanks for doing your job.
Yeah. So that was one. It kind of sucked having, And then the other one, same school. It was at the end of a day. I was just in the staff room, really doing nothing at all because they don't give me anything to do. And a kid comes in, and two of the female teachers are talking to him very quietly. They're like whispering conversations with him. Like every now and then I can hear a word from them, and I was like, okay, so obviously he's being disciplined about something. I'm not sure what happened, but whatever. And then they finish, and another teacher comes up and starts talking to him. I'm like, oh, this is weird. Usually it's just like 2 at most, and then they're done. Well, the third teacher talked to them, and then as he went to go leave from the third teacher, a fourth teacher grabbed him and was like, you didn't give him a greeting. Give him a greeting. Give him a greeting.
Right?
Well, but wait, it gets worse.
Oh, no.
It gets worse. The fourth teacher then starts yelling at the kid.
Right? And it's always the gym teacher in the sweatpants.
Right?
It wasn't the gym teacher.
Really?
It wasn't the gym teacher.
I think mine was
It
like
was a
science
math
teacher.
teacher.
Japan is like one of the only countries I know of where literally to discipline students, it's one teacher in the staff room that will stand, and the student's just sitting here like this, and the teacher's like,
Like,
"Rah, rah, rah," and like really, like seriously yelling the top of his lungs, unloading
Yeah.
on this kid.
Like, it's ridiculous.
But, you know, the first two teachers, really nice, soft, quiet, whispered conversation. Third teacher's still quiet, but not as soft. Fourth teacher, normal, and then he starts yelling at the kid. And then a fifth teacher comes over and starts yelling at the kid. And then the kid finally starts leaving the staff room, kicks a garbage can, turns around, starts screaming at all of the teachers.
That's beautiful.
And instead of just one teacher going up to him calmly to help try and calm this kid down, every single Japanese teacher in the staff rooms converge on the kid, backing him into a corner. Yeah, like, being like, calm down, calm down, calm down. Why aren't you calming down? Calm down. Stop crying. Calm down. Calm down. Stop yelling.
I would have applauded the crap out of that kid.
And the
Like,
kid's like,
hit
they're
the
yelling.
teachers.
He didn't hit, and he's just like yelling at the teachers, and the kid. All the teachers are doing is calm down, stop crying. Why are you yelling? Calm down. And like literally, what happened? It ended up going on for like 5 minutes before they get him out of the staff room. And it's just like, okay, I'm pretty sure whatever the kid did didn't deserve 5 different teachers yelling at him. Because I
Probably
mean, they can't really get up to much here.
Well, I recently heard about a school assembly being called in one case because a kid like threw chewed gum on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So gum is now banned in the school. There was a school assembly called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, the second worst case. It didn't really have to do with teaching. It was just something that
It
happened
was
at
just
school.
amazing.
I was just like blown out of my mind sitting there in the staff room being like, that
what just
escalated
happened?
quickly.
Quickly.
And I still don't know why they were yelling at the kid because they never said.
Best case.
Best case. At my other school.
That was the best case.
Oh god.
At my other school, my first year here, we had just finished cleaning the school, and some of my kids come back to stand in line. I'm like, where have you been? You've been gone for like 5 minutes. Where have you been? They're like, oh, we went to Oregon. I was like, really? You went to Oregon? Yes! We went to Oregon. I was like, oh, okay. What did you see in Oregon?
Pop quiz, kids.
I was like, what did you see? We saw that. Yes, we saw that. So I was like, oh, that. Like, yeah, we saw that. It was great. I liked that. And so I told my family this story, and I got my dad to print out a big, huge white sheet of paper that said "are," which is that in Japanese, and hold it around various places in my backyard. And then went to the kids later and to their class with said pictures and said, so some of you went on a trip to Oregon the other day. And one of the 2 kids that like remembered what I was talking about started bursting out laughing. And I was like, well, I just wanted to show the rest of the class what you all saw when you saw that. And like the teacher had known about it, and he was like, yes, let's do a whole class about that. Like, let's do it. So that's what we did, a whole class about like
That's
this
wonderful.
sign that says "are" in various places in my backyard, and be like, so what's that? What's that? And they're 3rd-year students, so it was really simplistic first year.
That's
grammar points.
amazing.
What I was not expecting, however, was the principal and a few other people to
Oh,
randomly
no.
come in the back of the class. Randomly in the middle of class, I was like, and we're just going to continue because I don't know why the principal and these other 2 people are here. This is a little awkward now that 3rd years are doing a first year grammar points.
Katie,
Okay.
you have to follow that, and I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. I know actually mine are quite tame compared to yours. Worst case scenario. Really, it is kind of 2 parts. Like, one part, like, everything failing. Like, your activity not working, and your kids thinking it's terribly boring, they aren't engaged, and it
really
just
sucks.
falling
It
on
happens
its
once
ass.
in a while.
It does, and it really sucks. Aside from that,
Especially when you go to the other school.
we are not disciplinaries. Like, I don't speak enough Japanese to be a disciplinary.
We're
Like,
not supposed to either.
we're not supposed to be.
By our contracts, we're not supposed to be
And-
disciplinary. So.
But occasionally, like, we end up in these situations where they kind of expect us to handle students when they're misbehaving. I'm like, I can't, and I don't speak enough Japanese. Even if I did, like, we have another friend. She says, I speak to them in Japanese, and I'm angry at them, and I'm upset, and they laugh at me because they think it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it would be the same with me. And so it's just a very difficult situation, especially because at my school we have special education classes specifically. That and it's pretty cool. They still get taught English, but some of them are like problem students because they have issues, and it can be a little challenging when they're acting up. And most of the time there's supposed to be another teacher there all the time. A couple of times that teacher has like gone away, and sometimes things have gone very smoothly, and other times it's kind of like,
Not so much.
what do I do? You know, and they're not here, and then they come back. But so that's probably worst case scenario. Best case scenario is just everything working. You have a great activity, the kids really like it, and they're really engaged. They actually learn something.
You're inspiring.
You're
they
inspiring,
enjoy it.
exactly. And
They
have
then
fun.
tell you, I loved English class afterwards.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, just everything going well, and you finding an activity that works well for that specific class, and the kids are into it. And especially if you have a good JET, Japanese English teacher, in the class with you, and it all just kind of melds and works well. It's probably the best case scenario.
Right.
Do you want to throw in best and worst?
So, worst.
Probably that one time when I killed that kid.
No, that wasn't the worst.
Maybe the first time, but like the second and third.
Let's see. Oh, I mean, like, I wouldn't say, like, I've had some pretty dramatic experiences teaching. The most dramatic, I wouldn't necessarily call it the worst, but the most dramatic is I was doing one of the games that I've been using, and it's just like a quiz style game, and like the kids eat it up because it's called the Typhoon game, and like, there's like this grid, and they have to like pick things, and they get like power ups and like or points, and like the kids just love it to death. And you know, so we're doing this game, and like there are these two girls that are being shitheads, and they're just like talking and stuff, and I'm like, I don't really give a shit that you're talking. I give a shit that you're talking, and I can't hear the other students say their answers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, like, be quiet while they're talking, and they're like, I don't speak English. I'm like, whatever, you're being assholes. Not dealing with you right now. So, anyways, so then like the next question happens, and they're still doing it, and so I'm like talking a little louder in that like, this is a hint that maybe you should shut up.
Yeah, they don't take that though.
Yeah, no, I've gone and like read like when they're supposed to be reading out loud and two students are just talking. I'll like read like really loudly like right next to them, and one kid has been like, "Dude, I think she's just gonna keep doing that until you shut up."
Yeah. So I do this, and like they just talk louder, like completely ignoring the hint that I am giving them, and then my teacher, the teacher that's with me, like she's like the cutest little like fun woman, like very very soft spoken, like very fun, like very cute, like nothing, like you wouldn't ever expect her to get angry. Fucking flips out on these kids. Like she's like, "What are you doing? Get up, stand up, outside. We're standing outside, and I'm going to rip into you." So she rips into them, and then like halfway through this, and I'm like, she pulls them out of the classroom. I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna keep playing the game, guys. So let's go for this. So we're playing.
Who has a power up?
Yeah, so we're playing, and like I'm asking questions, and they're like, yes, and then they're getting points, and then all of a sudden, like it gets even more loud, the yelling outside, because their homeroom teacher has joined in.
Oh!
The best way to discipline kids is tell their homeroom teacher if they're not paying attention in class.
This is a good thing. That's actually a really good tip for everyone. Homeroom teacher, find out who it is, tell them, get down their names, because they generally wear like a little name tag. If you can read the kanji, great. If not, just try to remember the kanji.
Yeah.
Or, where in the class they sat.
If they're in baseball club, tell the baseball coach, because that's
Oh.
apparently the scariest teacher on campus.
Yeah, whoever does
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah.
Go back.
So the he's like the guy. Their homeroom teacher's a really nice, friendly guy, but kind of like a no funny business kind of thing. But like, as long as you're not like fucking off, like I'll be really cool. Oh my god! Like
The rain of thunder that came from this man.
Yeah.
he just like ripped into them, and like this whole time, like, I'm like, okay, guys, we're having a great time. Yes, team one's fucking team two. Woo! Oh, God. They're inside the classroom yelling. And we're just going to keep playing the game and having a really good time. No, it's okay. Mommy, it's okay. Mommy's okay. Daddy just gets a little crazy. It's okay.
Best case scenario.
That was the most dramatic, I'd say. The best case was like, there have been a lot of best cases, but it's like you have like these classes and you're teaching students, and usually I find the best cases are actually in these classes, not when you're actually like in front of doing your main thing. It's like when you're going around and helping the students like individually, and you just like sort of like show them like this like little bit that they're like, you look at what they're doing, you try and figure out where they're messing up, and then you're like, okay, so this right here, this isn't quite right, so like you got to do it like, you know, put them in this order, and you know, it's like, yeah, it's not quite right, or and then they get it, or like when they're one of my favorite things is like when they use things that I know that they haven't learned in school.
Yeah, right.
Like,
because they try. They're
Like
oh,
the kids
they
who
haven't done my
asked,
grammar
how
point.
do I make skull fuck a verb?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's been my
Yeah.
favorite.
No. I asked
Like that.
during Crisscross, why do you visit graves during Obon? And I had a student reply, because of mind control.
so
Go for it.
So like, yeah, like they do these things. Like my favorite instances are the ones that are like the ones that like hear something and they know what something means in English, and then they like use it in like a worksheet or use it as an answer, and then it's like, you know, it's not quite right, but you're like, okay, you are totally getting, you understand how to learn a language because you're having fun with it, and the more you have fun with it, the better it's getting, and like those are like some of the best moments that you get as a teacher. And then I'd say that my personal, like my worst moments, they don't happen very often. Like I'd say probably like less than 5 times I've ever had like a moment where like I just really hated my job, but those usually are when you have like because there are students that don't get it, and that's fine. But then there are students that don't care, and that's fine. And then there are students that don't care and ruin it for the rest of the class.
I thankfully don't have any of those at high school.
Look at you. Yeah, we get Yankees and crap. Yankee, by the way, is the... it's great because Yankee, anywhere else,
Yankees
means
are
American.
brats. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
We're at 45 minutes already.
So,
yeah.
so like the problem is that, like so the way that they do it, they're like, it's, I mean, like, and there, yeah, and the thing is, like, it's not all Yankees, and some of the kids that do it aren't even Yankees.
True that.
But they just like completely fuck it up for everyone.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then like, so you're like stuck there, essentially having to be their babysitter, so that way the rest of the class can. So you have to like essentially sit and be like, "What are you doing? Like, we need to like do this," and they're just being dickheads. So that way, to you, and you don't get to enjoy and help the rest of the class.
Or
Solve their
sometimes
problems
even the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just like ruins the whole day for you sometimes.
But that, fortunately for me, has only happened, I'd say, like 3 times, and there's only like 2 or 3 students that really cause problems like that.
Okay.
We're at 51 minutes recording, so let's just do
Yeah.
the last. Well, like you can like
Okay.
for the last thing, I'll just have you go first.
Okay.
People just ask like, do we like teaching here? Would we recommend it? Is it a good thing to do?
I would definitely recommend it. I would say that for me, 2 to 3 years is probably about
That's what
you
most
would,
people do.
what you would want to do. It's a really good experience, and you living in another country. It's a very safe country, and there's a lot of really interesting. Like, it is it is both similar and vastly different from American culture, and as oxymoronic as it sounds, but it's a really great experience, and I would absolutely recommend doing it.
Yeah, I would recommend doing it. It's very different, actually.
Go take over, Tyra.
Actually, living in a country and working there versus being a tourist there. You see a much different side of the country. And I teach conversation classes with adults, and so I get to learn a lot about the culture from them, about how they live their everyday lives, and it's a really nice experience. I mean, the teaching is fun. I enjoy teaching. English was not my first choice to be teaching. Probably science or something with animals, their nature would be. But I think it has definitely been a good experience and definitely a way to get involved in a different culture.
Yeah, I definitely think taking time and teaching English abroad, whether it be Japan or a different country, is a good experience to get because you do get experience living abroad, away from home, in a situation completely foreign to what you're used to. And it's a way to grow up a little bit and like grow into yourself and who you are as a person. It's good work experience. You learn basically what it's like to work a 9-to-5 job that many people right out of college don't have. So it's a great way to get experience without necessarily a lot of work expected of you, but you do get the idea behind what it is like to be in that kind of working situation. So it's, I would recommend it.
I'm going to sort of play devil's advocate here and say that if you don't like lots and lots of bureaucracy rules that don't make sense and having to pay respects to people that you'll never see again in your entire life, but if you don't pay respects to them right now, then your pension gets revoked, then you shouldn't do this. It's like everyone always thinks, oh, I want to go teach in Japan, it's the best thing ever, and that's everything that I dream about in life. But if that's all that you dream about in life, you need to reevaluate your priorities.
In my case, I'd recommend it so long as, like, you kind of know what to expect coming here. Because, like he said, there's a lot of people who I see on the forums and stuff who are like, if you say something bad about Japan, like, you're instantly the enemy of the internet because there's nothing bad about Japan. And if you just can't appreciate this experience, and if you can't appreciate this experience, you should just head home. And, like,
appreciate the experience all you want. You
just be aware that there are going to be troubles and stressful things that you are unable to change but have to deal with anyways.
And it's not like being a tourist. Like, it's
so, like, if your goal is to come see Japan and climb Mount Fuji and go visit Kyoto, come here and stay for like a month or two and tourist.
You get like 90 days on your tourist visa. Come over here, save up $3,000 or something. Come over here, do all the things that you want, and then go home.
Yeah, but if you want to, like, have that experience of living in a different culture and, like, basically, I think sometimes it's, like, extended college almost.
It really is sometimes.
Because it's, like, you can meet up with your other, like, ALT buddies and you can all go out drinking, and we played a drinking game to Cinderella the other night. Yeah. Like, it's almost extended college sometimes. So if you want, like, a bit of a break from, like, the real world, as it would be,
or like, a smooth transition from college life to the real world.
We've also honestly got a bit more leniency, like, because they're foreigners, they don't understand.
While it is true that it's sort of kind of like a discriminatory thing where if you're not Japanese and you don't get to do a lot of stuff, it also gets you a little bit of leniency because you can gaijin smash through stuff, which I don't recommend, but which is necessary once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, it's good if you and also if you want to become a teacher. Like, this is kind of a good...
Yeah, this is probably a really good thing.
Like, if you go through this and you still want to be a teacher, you're probably going to like teaching.
I mean, if you go through this and you still want to teach, it'll be so much easier when you go back because the kids will actually understand what you're saying and you can actually share what you're passionate about.
In all reality, if you know that you like teaching, you should probably look for an international school to teach at. Like, I'm staying here, but I'm going to move to teaching elementary school, where I don't have to constantly teach to a test and deal with stupid bureaucracy and all that crap. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of lucky to have that.
Right. I should also add on that my recommendation is to know some of the language before you come, because it makes your life so much easier, and if you don't know the language before you come, then people like me have to help you through everything.
And it's really embarrassing, because, like, I've had to help new people get set up at the gynecologist, where I have to look at you and say, like, so what age were you when you first had your period? And they're like, are you serious? I'm like, this is the kanji for month, this is the kanji for blood, this is the kanji for when. It's asking that question. Yep. So if you don't want to have to divulge to a stranger you met 3 days ago the innermost details of your vagina, you should learn some Japanese.
Real glad that I don't have one of those.
Any other last thoughts?
I wasn't expecting to be on here, so not really.
Yay, Phaedra!
All right, so with that, I guess we'll cut it off, and maybe I'll edit this down so it's not an hour long.
57 minutes and 12 seconds right now.
I don't know, we can fill the other 3 minutes with, like, farm animal noises.
Isn't that on video? video somewhere already?
Are we actually doing this, you guys?
No, we're not.
I don't know, what's the Japanese noise for a cow?
It's still moo,
It's
actually.
still moo.
Moo is actually also the onomatopoeia for having an ejaculation.
Oh, lovely.
I don't understand how that works. Like, is that how it goes?
I guess so. I mean, because it probably comes from when you milk a cow, because you're jerking in it. I'm sorry, you guys. I really am.
I think that's a better note to end the video on, cow ejaculation.
Moo!